Oh my God, we are back with yet another edition of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am joined by Matt Armstrong. Brian Baldwin is celebrating his second wedding anniversary, so he cannot join us. He told us his wife is taking him on a shopping spree at Grindhouse Video. What he doesn't know is he only has a $50 limit.
That's one good one.
In Best Buy dollars, that will barely be 1 4K. um, Here's a question: have you watched anything good this week beside our conquering our collection pick and Evil F?
I only watched one movie, and it's the new Netflix movie, You People.
With Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill.
Yes. And it was decent. It was not a very well made movie. I think it just kind of seemed like a bunch of awkward scenes kind of thrown together, but there was a couple parts that were pretty funny.
Cool. I've watched a few. This was a really busy work week for me. Like I had to cancel a bunch of shows and mics, but I did watch Assholes before my show last Sunday, and I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
I it was perfectly paced at 70 minutes, and it was a lot different than I thought it would be. And I didn't realize you could get addicted to poppers like that.
So I had two of my buddies come over uh, when I first watched it, and did not realize my one friend was bringing his like 12-year-old son with him. So he watched it as well, and yeah.
He probably laughed his ass off at that movie, especially with the last act of the film and what happens.
Yeah. There were a couple spots where we were like, "Look away!"
On that day, he became a man. And hopefully won't do poppers. Hopefully you discuss the dangers of drugs with him after that movie and used it as a warning.
Yeah. Or dirty buttholes.
Ugh. Demons coming out of buttholes might be the most interesting thing I have ever seen.
I think the main actress was better in this or Scary of 61st.
You can't compare. They're different movies, and I think she co-wrote this one, right?
She might have.
I don't know. You can't compare them because Scary of 61st is a horror drama, and this is an absurdist comedy.
Yeah.
It's like apples and oranges, but I think she's a good actress. Hopefully, she'll get more roles in the future in more mainstream films if that's what she's going for.
Mm-hmm.
But on Friday night, I rewatched Superbad. Speaking of Jonah Hill,
Nice.
it usually movies from the early aughts don't hold up because of the technology, but for some reason that one is still funny and it still holds up.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually going to mention there's something about like adult Jonah Hill that I don't know, just seems like off to me.
You mean Academy Award nominated Jonah Hill?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I've always enjoyed him more as a that awkward teen though, but
I think he's a really good actor, and what's amazing is he was able to escape from the teen comedies they did with Judd Apatow's production and morph into something different. Like when he did, I can't remember the name of the movie about the football, the baseball team.
Moneyball.
Moneyball. I mean, he was great in that role. And then the movie where Dogs of War, I think that was called, with I thought he was really good in that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just I think compared to some of his co-stars like Michael Cera, he's going to have a long-term career.
I don't know why, but I love Michael Cera.
It's what was a movie called? Youth in Revolt, or yeah,
Yeah.
Youth in Revolt. They were filming it by my old art director's house in Ferndale, Michigan, and I would camp out once in a while and go, "Hey,
To see his mustache in person.
George Michael." But yesterday, before I left for my show, which by the way sucked, I discovered people 60 and above do not enjoy my comedy.
60 and above?
Yeah, it was all old people there last night. Not to
Oh,
say I'm young, but I'm just saying they did not appreciate some of the things I was saying. But before I left, I saw my package from Severin just arrived, and the Violent Streets, the
mm,
Milan box set. When I got home, I watched one of the movies, Almost Human, and I was blown away by it. And then I watched the second film, Sitting at Sadus. I was also blown away by that. So I have a feeling this is so far a leading contender of the box set of the year.
nice. Yeah, when I forget who it was the other day that brought it up about the new box set that just got announced. I-
Birdemic.
yeah, I was gonna ask if anyone could recommend that the
Um,
Streets box set, but
I can tell you, I saw the first one. I own it on Blu-ray because it looked cheesy, but I actually saw it in the theater when I was in Seattle, and I think it's the biggest piece of crap ever made. I have no desire to see two or three, and I have no desire to spend all that money. I mean, I think it's like $30 though, but
this
yeah, I
is
have,
the pandemic one you're talking about.
yeah,
Okay.
I have no desire to order that one.
Yeah, I mean it is at least cheap, but I probably will not. But yeah, the Violent Streets one I thought looked pretty decent though.
Yeah, I was shocked because it wasn't supposed to come out till the end of March, and all the pre-order people started getting theirs in the last week or so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was.
I've had it sitting in my cart, but just haven't pulled the trigger.
You should pull the trigger. I mean, just based on the first two movies, it's phenomenal. And speaking of phenomenal in quotation marks, I thought the January releases for Vinegar Syndrome were really good of all the ones I've watched so far. And the February ones, I do worry.
Do you? What about
Now,
them?
so the only one I've heard of, actually, no, the only one I've seen is the Devonsville Terror.
Hmm.
I've heard of Biozombie, but now Vinegar Syndrome seems to be getting to the Eastern European film genre of Goodbye 20th Century. I watched the trailer for that one. It looks okay, but this is the first month in God knows how many years that I'm like, maybe I didn't need to subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously never seen any of these, but um, I feel like um February is always a pretty light month.
Oh yeah, I mean they totally blew their wad on January.
Yeah.
I mean they could have held one of those back for February, but we also have the Valentine's Day sale with the rumor of Massage Parlor Massacre coming out on 4K. I hope it's just a regular adult title
Yeah. Yeah, what did it say? It's supposed to be one from the first year.
of exploitation films.
Okay.
But for some reason, I think that is from the second year.
Yeah, I'm not so what would that probably cover up to they probably didn't get up to 100 in the first year, I wouldn't think.
No, I can always go double check. But what interests me is I think the Blu-ray upgrade is going to be Baby Rosemary.
Hmm.
And if they are doing a 4K, I would like it to be some the John Hayes films of The Hang Up or the other one that I really like, whose name I can't remember. But actually, I would like him to do a John Hayes box set because he is this really he was a really good genre filmmaker, and his two adult films, Baby Rosemary and Hot Lunch,
Hmm.
were both pretty good as well.
I think I have those, but I haven't dug into any of those yet.
Well, you should, and that's why we are doing. Before we get to what we're doing, what partner label stuff did you order for February?
Oh, I got um some really random ones. Let me check my order here. Well, one that I know I got that I at the time of ordering, I was like, why the fuck am I ordering this? But it was the Clue documentary. Um, and it sold out like immediately somehow.
Yeah, I like the Clue movie. I
Mhm.
don't think I need to see a documentary on it.
um, so I got that. I got Amigo, um, or the Plasma. I got the Deaf Crocodile cartoon, The Son of the Stars, Wild Reeds, and Thrust.
Okay, that's the only common one we ordered. I ordered the Glow documentary from Agfa, which if you haven't seen it, that's great. I'm glad to upgrade the DVD. And the Canadian International Pictures of Hitman Hart Wrestling with Shadows,
Mhm.
which will also be an upgrade on DVD for me. And one I can't wait to revisit.
I do need to get that. That one's starting to sell pretty quick too.
Yeah. The hell are you a fan of Bret the Hitman Hart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right. All right.
he wasn't my favorite, but I did always really I liked Owen Hart more than Bret Hart, but
There's also a documentary I own Hart on this one as an extra.
oh really nice.
I remember my friend Doug and I were watching the pay-per-view where he died.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just sitting there as like, is this the work? And then when Jim Ross came on and said that Owen Hart passed away, it was like, why are you continuing to do this pay-per-view?
Yeah. I remember um we were like never allowed to order pay-per-views when we were little. Um just because they cost so much, and we had finally talked our parents into letting us get one, and it was this one. So it was also the last one.
If you order the subscription Peacock, you get all the WWE pay-per-views for the price of your subscription. Now,
Yeah.
while we are not sponsored by Peacock or WWE, which we should be, we say order Peacock. We don't have a discount code for you because we are not sponsored, but we should be. Peacock executives, WWE executives, while our subscribers are low right now, if you sponsored us, they would get higher.
And definitely their subscribers would as well.
Yes, yes.
By at least 59.
All right. Before we get into our new feature where we conquer our collection, what do you think about Best Buy's new pricing strategy?
Yeah, I saw that, and can we call it a strategy? Is it like a
Oh,
strategy to get out of the market, or
I think it's a strategy to subscribe to pay $199 for this tech thing, which also gives you discounts supposedly.
I
But
didn't.
you know what? I don't have to pay $199. I can just go to Amazon and order it.
So what's the subscription?
I saw it on a video that it's like for protection and to cover to get to get when your technology needs repairing, they come out and help that at a discounted price. So,
Hmm, okay.
but I mean, I don't often go to Best Buy because they don't really carry anything anymore. But like I was when Wakanda Forever was going to come out, I was going to go pick it up there. Guess I won't because I'm not paying Barnes and Noble prices at Best Buy.
Yeah.
It it's just so stupid. But as you said, it's like they're trying to kill having physical media in the store when again, I don't think physical media is a mass market item anymore. It's niche. But if you have it there at the right price, customers will come.
Yeah. Yeah, one that I noticed that was really high even aside from Best Buy is the new Scream Factory 4K of The People Under the Stairs. It was like, what are they usually on this site, like
20 something.
24, 25. It was even that one on the site is like almost 40. And it's nothing crazy about it. It's just like all their other releases. So
I guess I'll order that one from Amazon if I decide to order it.
yeah. I hope we don't start to see all of these companies, you know, jacking their prices up because they see that the smaller companies can get a bunch more money out of them.
It's something to worry about. I mean, if we look at the MSRP on Goodbye 20th Century, it's $49.99.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're getting a subscriber discount of, well, you're not paying anywhere close to that, but neither is, I think they've jacked it down to $29.99, which means at the sale for non-subscribers, it'll just be a couple dollars cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's costing more to make discs now.
Could be. I mean, I saw all the videos popping up on YouTube about like why the prices are so much more now. I didn't watch any of them, but maybe they explain something.
I think that unless they talk to an executive at Best Buy, it's all speculation right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an expensive hobby. And if Best Buy isn't ordering this product to be in the store and they want you to go to their .com to order it, Amazon's going to be cheaper.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if they,
I've had some bad luck with Amazon though. So just recently, if you order movies from, one of the sites like Vinegar Syndrome or Grindhouse or something like that, you always get it in a box. And lately with Amazon, it's always just a padded envelope, and I've been sending back a ton that have just damaged.
yeah, I had an issue with them this week. The MVD Blu-ray of Last American Virgin was supposed to get here on Tuesday. During a meeting, I got the notification, hey, we left it at the mailbox. I'm like, oh shit. So I excused myself from the meeting to go to the bathroom, ran downstairs, and it was gone.
Like at your apartment or at work?
At my apartment.
Okay.
If yeah, and then I ordered another copy of it. They sent me another copy of it plus the $5 coupon, and I was able to. I got it the next day, and then right after that, my neighbor came over. Not my neighbor, someone else in the building said, "Hey, I accidentally grabbed this." I'm like, "Sure." It was open.
Oh, really?
He just saw it wasn't anything good and brought it back to me.
He was like, oh.
But this morning I ordered DoorDash for breakfast because I was busy doing work, and I never ordered DoorDash because it's too fucking expensive. And I get a text, left it outside. And then as I ran downstairs, I saw someone carrying the bag from it. I'm like, I think that's mine. He goes, yeah, it was outside getting cold. I'm like, no, you were about to take it up to your apartment and eat it.
I think the last 3 or 4 times we've ordered it, it winds up on our neighbor's porch, and it's always super awkward because they have like a Ring camera, so they can just see us coming up there and just taking food off their porch.
You knock on the door and say, happened again?
It's usually like 10 o'clock at night, so they're it like all the lights are off in the house, and
you shouldn't eat after like 9 p.m.
yeah, that is true, but sometimes you just gotta.
Yep, I won't deny that. All right, let's get to conquering our collection. This is going to be a new feature on the show where Brian, Matt, and I will grab a video that is still wrapped that we bought some time ago. No VS product allowed, and we should make this go with partner labels as well, but I didn't say that explicitly this week. And we'll talk about them. Neither one of us knows what the other one has chosen. Matt, I am dying to hear your conquering your collection pick because I know you have a lot that you haven't conquered yet.
I have quite a bit. So the one I went with it's one that I got during the pre-order from a label that I don't think we've ever really talked about much, but um um it's from a guy who is kind of big in the physical media scene. It is from Gold Ninja Video.
Okay.
Um I don't know if you know the guy who runs that,
Yeah,
Justin.
Justin, I listen to his podcasts.
Okay. Yeah, I listened to that one. So I went with um the release called, oh, it's awkward. Thrilling Bloody Sword.
Okay.
Um and this was about the most fun I've had watching a movie in a long time. Um
What's it about?
so it's early 80s. It's apparently like it's a the genre is like Taiwanese like psycho um what do they call it? Taiwanese. There's an actual name for it. Psychotronic cinema. And it's it's got a lot of the traditional kind of martial arts things going on with it from that era, but it's also a reimagined story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves with aspects of um before they were created, like aspects of like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and like a lot of things remind me of like Thundercats, and um just all this like super like fantastical stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just like this huge mix of stuff, and it had like, so it's from Taiwan, and the soundtrack in it was like, if I had to describe the genre, it was like fantasy funk. But it was like, music from what seemed like the funk scene here in America, but combined with like fantasy, like whimsical, like flutes and just all this stuff. But um, yeah, kind of just a retelling of Snow White. And it kind of starts with this princess or a queen. She's about to have a baby, and out of nowhere, a comet falls out of the sky and shoots into her womb, and the queen shoots out this huge kind of just like fleshy, veiny, egg looking thing. Um, and the king is just so disgusted by it that he throws it in a river to get rid of it. And it's floating down the river, and it's eventually found by what this movie's version of the Seven Dwarves. Um, so they like raise her, um, and eventually these two um, wizards, enchanters, kind of come to try and take the throne of the village where she's from, and they send out these monsters to kind of take things over, and they try to get into the king's good graces by um, saying they'll take care of the monsters, even though they're the ones bringing them here. And they've got this huge, secret plan to take over the throne, somehow try to bring the devil into the real world. And it's just so much stuff that they kind of do along the way. I don't want to give a bunch of it away in case we decide to talk about this later, but
I don't have not bought anything from Golden Ninja Video yet.
well, this I do know this one is sold out, so it would have to be something that I like put on Plex so you guys can watch. But yeah, just such a really fun time. And um I guess it's never been released on physical media, and Justin, I guess, found the last surviving 35 millimeter print, so he used that to kind of restore this. Um
I didn't think they restored video.
um well, it says it's presented in a new 2K scan, and he's got a little intro that he does saying it's the only surviving 35 millimeter print. He might have sourced it out to have it done though.
That sounds good. Like they've had stuff I wanted, but all the stuff I wanted has been out of print.
Yeah.
And
One, it's limited to 800, so I remember it going pretty quick.
yeah, I got to remember to keep on looking at their site to buy stuff
Mm-hmm.
before it goes out of print, and I live in a world of regret.
Yeah. But it's got I mean obviously he's doing kind of some lower budget stuff than, like a Vinegar Syndrome is doing, but um it's got some good special features on it. It's got a full commentary track with him and a world pop cinema scholar. Um it's got a little documentary that he did about the director. It's got a kind of a featurette that he put together, kind of doing a like an introduction to the genre, the Taiwanese psychotronic cinema. And there's, which I didn't know about until I ripped the disc to put it on to get it on my server. There's two bonus features hidden on the disc.
Ooh.
So two more full length movies. One of them's called Incredible Kung Fu Mission. Um, and I don't remember what the other one is called, but yeah, lots on here. It's got a little kind of, looks like he printed it out at home, little booklet in it.
That's cool.
But yeah, really, really cool. It kind of opened me up to check out more of their videos or more of their releases. But
When was this released?
this one was, I want to say early last year, maybe spring of last year.
Okay, all right.
Um, but yeah, I remember that it went pretty quick.
Cool. I once you give me your Plex account, add me your Plex account, I will be more than
Yeah,
happy to watch that one.
yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think. I will say the one thing is that it's very, very grainy, very artifacty. I don't know if that will bother a lot of people, but the big thing is that it's only in Mandarin, and it has English subtitles, but they're like the original
Yeah.
uh, broken English, burnt in subtitles, and they're a little hard to see and understand at times. But other than that, awesome,
I
awesome.
I really wish he would partner with Vinegar OCN and become a partner label.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
Truly.
know that there was one a couple months ago where he was putting a lot of work into release, and then um, Vinegar Syndrome kind of took it. I think that they actually got the rights and they were going to release it. I can't remember what it was though, but it was one he was working on.
Huh. We will
Yeah.
find that out for you next week, what it is.
Yeah.
Matt will do something called research.
Yeah.
So I gotta tell you, this assignment was hard because I have a lot of unwatched stuff.
Hmm.
And I narrowed it down to three. One was an adult film I bought God knows how many years ago on DVD called Little Darlings. It was the spoof of the Christy McNichol, Tatum O'Neal classic Little Darlings. I watched 5 minutes of it. I'm like, no, this this is bad even by porn standards. I can't go through with it. I can't do it. It's just gross. This movie's just wrong on so many different levels.
Then
And
the first
then
5 minutes.
and nothing really happened the first 5 minutes. but it was just I was like it first of all it looked terrible. It was like they just found a print and did didn't bother doing any restoration to it.
Okay.
And it was like a what I saw was seemed like a very inferior version of Summer Camp Girls that was released by Vinegar Syndrome. And if I wanted to watch camp porn, I'd watch Summer Camp Girls. But then I narrowed it. Then I grabbed looking through boxes. I found from Shout Factory on DVD the Nurses Collection, and never opened it. And they were talking about one that's going to be airing tomorrow night, the night after we record this. We record on February 5th, but on February 6th, one's playing at the New Beverly, and I was like, I I'm just not in the mood for it. Then I went to David Cronenberg's The Brood, and I'm like, I'm just too heavy for me right now. And then I was just looking around, and I came across the Soska sisters' second movie, American Mary.
Okay.
which I bought in July 2013. So that disc has been sitting unopened for nearly a decade. Now, I didn't realize how Cronenberg-esque this film was until I started watching it, but I was completely and utterly enthralled by it. Let me read the description from Letterboxd. Appearances are everything. A young medical student struggling to pay tuition is drawn into the shady world of underground body modification. And it stars Catherine Isabel, who is best known for the Ginger Snaps trilogy. If you have you seen any of those movies?
I remember seeing the first one.
Yeah, the first one's the only good one. But she plays a medical student who's in her residency. She's having more problems than paying her tuition. Her phone is getting shut off. She's desperate for money because she wants to continue in school. So she goes to a strip bar with a resume to act, and that blew away the owner of it because no one has ever brought a resume to him before. And then he said, "Oh, you're in medical school," and he's like, "Stick around here. I want to talk to you some more." He comes back and he's in a panic. He's like, "How long? How close are you to being a doctor?" She's like, "I'm practically a doctor right now." He's like, "Good, come with me." He takes her to the basement, and there's someone that was, I can't remember if it was shot, but something happened to him, and he needed her to fix him up. And she's freaking, I'm not like a licensed doctor. He's like, "I'm going to give you $5,000 for this." So she's kind of terrified about that, thinking that the crime she committed is going to catch up with her. A few days later, she starts getting a phone messages from a weird sounding woman. The woman eventually comes to her place, and she looks like totally body modified to look like the cartoon character Betty Boop. She wants her to help one of her friends who is trying to become a real life Barbie doll. She already has a doll face, but she wanted to look like a Barbie in her breast and her extremities. And they paid her like, I think, $12,000 or $15,000 to do that. Then something bad happens to her. One of the surgeons of her residency program invites her to a party at his house. They drug her, and a doctor rapes her. They've noticed that she's been wearing nice clothes, so they assumed she was like a prostitute. And at that point, she dropped out of med school and has gone full time into the underworld of body modification. She keeps on getting deeper and deeper into it. What the Soska sisters actually appear and wanted to become Siamese twins. And I'm like, this is a really interesting movie. She gets revenge on one of the doctor who actually raped her. I thought it was great. I thought the ending was a little anticlimactic, but holy man, fudge! I was enthralled by the hour and 40 some minute runtime of it. Not a slow moment except for the end, but it was a fantastic movie. Catherine Isabel should be a leading actress, because if this movie was made today, Jenna Ortega would be playing the role of American Mary. But it's just a fantastic movie. It's intense, has a good score, very well paced, and I regret sitting on this for nearly a decade.
Yeah. I've never seen it. I remember always seeing the poster of it, and for some reason I always thought it was like a generic sequel or something to American Psycho.
Well, there was a generic sequel to American Psycho 2, starring Mila Kunis and William Shatner, which
Yeah.
I've never seen.
um, but was it kind of similar to like Crimes of the Future?
No, no. I mean, this was made a decade ago. Um, in more ways, it was kind of like Orphan Black, which had body modification on there, but it was, what can I say? It's more like, I can't say anything. It's not a horror film like the poster makes you believe it is.
Hmm.
It's a drama with horror elements,
Okay.
and the main character keeps on going deeper and deeper into it. Like there's a scene where I guess she kind of has feelings for the guy who owns the strip bar, and he walks in on him getting a blowjob from a new stripper, and she just goes insane over her. Like the strippers are afraid of her, and I the character development in that film is so subtle, but you see her losing less and less of her humanity as in each and every scene, and man, it's just so good. Like it kind of felt sad going from watching that to super bad.
Yeah, pretty opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I needed something light after that film.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I can picture that poster very clearly. I've just never seen it.
Yeah, neither had I bought it because I loved Catherine Isabel in the first Ginger Snaps film, and I'm like, oh, she's done something else. And then I guess I moved so many times, and that got put in a box and never seemed to come out of it.
Hmm.
But it's always amazing because being in this hobby, you're always buying more and more, and stuff that you bought in the past that you never opened just keeps on getting farther and farther down the pile to the point where you forgot that you bought it in the first place.
Hmm.
And I was very thankful that I own this one, even though you can still get it for $9.99 on Amazon, which is just $2 less than I paid for it at Best Buy back in 2013.
Yeah. Well, nice. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to kind of go through these that have just been sitting there and actually force myself to watch them.
Yes, but remember, no vinegar syndrome or partner labels.
Hmm.
We have to conquer our collection and not with the habit of what we're currently buying. All
Now,
right.
what about Terror Vision?
If so,
I know there's like a
if you haven't watched something for a year from the new TerraVision distribution system,
okay.
yeah. So from what they released post Santa Claus and beyond, so far none of those will be a thing, and the rest were under Vinegar Syndrome. So no.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just hold them off till next year.
All right. Let's talk about Evil Laugh. This is the second time I watched it, and I once again had that fucking theme song pumping through my head.
Yeah, they did not. They did not skimp on that song.
We all need a break.
Do you
But
feel like that song went with it with the movie at all?
what?
Do you feel like that song even went with the movie at all?
No, I don't think this movie knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
Um, so this movie stars, or let me get back to it. Let me get to my notes that I took. Do, 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 do. Evil laugh. Don't know why they're so far down the list.
Do I have it open? Are you looking for your review?
Yeah, I'm looking for my review, and I had some notes as well. All right. Let me just. So, Evil Laugh is a film that was directed by Dominic Garcia, who is best known as an actor for Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, Once Bitten, Rush Week, Iron Eagle, and National Lampoon's Last Resort. He also directed Hard Rock Nightmare, Breaking Cycle, and My Life as a Troll.
Real quick, I have received lots of requests for some reason from people at work for us to talk about Iron Eagle.
Yeah, I've never seen Iron Eagle.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. So this movie stars Ashlyn Gear, but she was credited as Kim McCarney, Steve Baio, Scott Baio's less talented brother, Tony Griffin as the BMW driving or Mercedes Benz driving Sammy, Jodie Gibson as Tina, Gerald Pearson as Barney, Miles O'Brien as Mark Armstrong, the most porno sounding name in the movie.
That's my brother's name.
Hopefully he's not as big as a douchebag of the Mark Armstrong of Evil Laugh. Howard Weiss as Mr. Burns the realtor, and Karen O'Brien as Betty, his wife. A 10 years, this is the synopsis. 10 years ago, something terrible happened in this house. This weekend, it's about to happen again. A group of medical students take a weekend to fix up an old house where a mass murder occurred 10 years earlier. The mass murderer's name was Martin, by the way.
Yeah.
I was, even though the show wasn't created at that point, I was just waiting for a Neil drop of Martin.
I would have loved if he would have just popped out with the beat up mask on.
This movie was so bad. But there were things about it that I really liked. First things first, I am going to give the director and co-writer of this movie, Dominic, some props, even though he's a horrible human being. He's now dead, but he may or may not have molested Corey Haim back in the day.
Oh, who was this?
The director of the movie.
Oh.
You might remember him for when I talked about Friday the 13th, Part 5. He was the fat, mentally challenged kid who was not killed by Jason, not killed by the faux Jason, and basically set off the murder spree by faux Jason. So,
interesting.
Throughout the movie, there were many, many references to Friday the 13th, Part 5. From the issue of Fangoria Barney is reading, who is basically a smarter version of or the prototype of Jamie Kennedy's character in Scream 1 and 2. He mentions that movie. He mentions Jason. It was like, this movie so bad wanted to be Friday the 13th but it wasn't anywhere close. 2, they were just renting the house for the weekend. They didn't own it yet, but they were fixing it up.
Yeah.
To one of the worst montage music scenes in the history of movies. Nobody is that happy.
Yeah, it was just a very weird scenario altogether.
And when there are going to be spoilers to this, when the killer is revealed, it doesn't make any sense to the continuity of the movie.
Yeah, they just kind of threw that in there, and it's like, the whole time they keep just kind of throwing little shots about other horror movies, and then they reveal the killer, and it's just like, oh, they went that route.
Well, to me, do you remember on Fox TV back in the day they had these magician secret episodes with the masked magician?
Yep.
And then they finally revealed him in the last episode of it. And everyone's like, who is this? This has to be a famous magician. He takes off the mask and goes, it is I, Valentino. And everyone watching, like, who are you? we were expecting somebody who actually knows magic.
Yeah.
The killer reveal made no sense. But let's get back to the beginning of the movie. We have the character of Jesse coming into the house, and we meet Mr. Burns and the food delivery guy who they had no liver. Like, they made a big deal of no liver.
Yeah, and he said, "Tell him I don't stock." I think I wrote it down. They don't stock bull hearts or monkey brains. Like, why is?
And I would hope so. I mean, if
Who
you
was
go to
the
a real
guy?
butcher, what?
The first guy who showed up was Jerry, the one who was going to buy the house.
Yes, yeah.
Why did he like? Why did he want this?
Well, he wanted to turn it back into a nursery for kids in need.
No, I mean, why did he want these like organs to cook for his friends?
I have no idea, because he's a gourmet cook. They mentioned that in the film too.
Okay.
But so is Barney, of course.
Right.
Then, after Mr. Burns leaves, Jesse gets slaughtered, and so does the delivery boy.
Mm-hmm.
Then we start meeting our characters. We meet Scott Baio's character, Mark Armstrong, and Barney. There's something wrong. They have to pull over because not Scott Baio, whatever his brother's name, Sean, whatever, I don't know.
Steven, obviously.
Steve Baio, has to take a whiz. Who doesn't look down before they take a whiz?
Who also goes on a full-blown hike to go find a pea spot.
And why are they shirtless? Why are Steve and Mark Armstrong shirtless?
Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen out there, I guess.
And Barney is too busy because he's reading his issue of Fangoria with Friday the 13th Part 5, The New Beginning, right, smack dab on the cover. Then we meet two of the girls. We meet Ashlyn Gear's character of, no, not that page, of Connie. And we meet Jodie Gibson, who played Tina. So, I'm sorry, Karen O'Brien did not play the wife. She played Betty. So, before we get to their meeting of them, I thought it was quite ironic that those two came together in a car, because a year after this movie, Ashlyn Gear became one of the biggest porn actresses in the business, even though in this film she had a no nudity clause, and when we saw her nude in the shower at the end, that was a body double. And the woman who played Tina became one of the biggest madams of Hollywood, who was busted in 1999. I just thought that to be a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
But I had some questions on that. Why were they not traveling? Why didn't they come up there with Jesse? Why were they all traveling separately?
Mm-hmm.
And Tina kind of was a slut.
Yeah, there were a couple parts where I feel like I must have just looked away for literally 1 second and missed something happen, because when Tina just like randomly started hooking up with Mark Armstrong, they kept saying like, "Oh, what about Johnny? What about Johnny?" And it was like, were they together like three and
Yeah,
a half seconds ago? And
they were together before the movie started.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she moved on pretty quick.
And then we met Sammy and Betty, the rich kids, both wearing fancy hats, driving a Mercedes, and Betty bitching that they wish they went to Palm Springs with his parents. Betty might have been the smartest character in the film.
It kind of seemed like what was his name? Sean, you said?
Who's Sean?
Who was the one that came with Betty?
Oh, Sammy.
Sammy. It kind of seemed like he was like the person who was like the best friend to Jerry. He seemed like
Jesse.
just God. I'm not gonna get any of these names right except Barney. Um, yeah, he just seemed like he really wanted to be the one to like help out the most.
Yeah, because he's good friends with Jesse and understands that as a med student, this would look good on his resume of opening this house.
Mhm.
So then they all get to the house. They can't find Jesse, but all this food was delivered. And Barney got excited when he saw fresh calf's heart, which was not from a cow. It was from Jesse. And probably the delivery kid.
Can we
So
talk about the sound effects that knife made when it was taking that heart out? What was going on there?
I can't describe it. This movie was made on a budget of $10.
Maybe.
um, then they all start doing housework and clean the place up again to a terrible song, and they're all happy about it. Barney is missing at some point because he is cutting a hole in the bed. Then they have dinner. They ate the heart, but wouldn't eat the balls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mark is trying to hook up with Tina. They're still not concerned about where Jesse is. They just figured he'll be there tomorrow. And then after Corinne tells the story of what happened there, the police chief shows up. And if there was ever a police chief in movie history who needed doctors, it was this guy. He was smoking. He was severely obese. Not that I'm making fun. And he was wearing his sunglasses at night,
Yeah.
which made me wonder why they couldn't afford the song Corey Hart song "Sunglasses at Night" for as he walked up, because that would have been cliche and brilliant.
And he always sounded like he was talking into a walkie-talkie. Like even as he was standing at the front door, it sounded like his voice was just coming through his walkie-talkie. I was very thrown off by it.
Yeah, I was also thrown off that he didn't notice someone behind him in the cop car
Yeah.
when the kid who's not a cop was doing a stakeout there, which made no sense either.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they were looking for the caretaker who mysteriously disappeared
Yeah.
and we could assume was dead. Um, let's see. Tina and Mark are about to go get it on. Barney is still missing. And then as they are making out, Mark's hand pops up, or Barney's hand pops up from under their bed and immediately starts touching Mark's ass.
Yep.
um, then Sammy and Betty are. Guess we find out Betty is into S&M, and Sammy went and bought the collar for himself. Then he decides to go downstairs and talks to Barney. No questions are asked about the collar.
Yeah.
None. None at all. Then the carnage starts. Betty and Sammy are killed. Tina and Mark are killed. Steve Baio, in quite possibly the funniest death scene, is put into a microwave that's open. I need to do research if a microwave can operate when it was open back in 1985, and then immediately regresses to being a kid.
Yeah, yeah, that was weird. And I don't think that it did, because as soon as he gets his head shoved in the microwave, he's even like, "Hey, this isn't gonna work with the door open." He's like starts saying stuff like that, and then yeah, he's just like,
So I'm also forgetting that he's also in love with Corinne, like everybody else is in the group.
Mhm.
And he asks Mark for advice, and Mark says you should go rub your chest as a sign of seduction.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's not a sign of seduction. And then he goes tells Corinne that Steve Baio's character has a rash and needs help with that. And then when he tries kissing her, she just sends him away brokenhearted.
yeah,
Also, he was brokenhearted when he saw Mark Armstrong naked with Tina.
yeah. And his demeanor did not change between any of those situations.
Now we see why Steve Baio did not have a really great career like his brother did.
Mhm.
I mean, his brother, Bugsy Malone, Happy Days, Joni and Chachi, Charles in Charge, Zapped, and then Neocon Republican. And by the way, if you ever look at Steve Baio's Twitter, he's a horrible, horrible person.
You know,
Horrible.
Kevin Sorbo.
He makes Kevin Sorbo look liberal.
Ooh, I got to check it out. Nice.
Yeah. Then we have Barney gets dragged away and we assume he is killed. Then it's just Corinne. The phone lines are cut. Mr. Burns is called over because there is no hot water. Then he is killed. Then it's Corinne. She has a gun because there was absolutely no foreshadowing that she brought one with her.
Yeah.
And goes to confront the killer. And the killer turns out to be Mr. Burns' wife, who we only saw once when she was telling him to get out of the house. Then we find out Barney's alive. He kills her. Then she gets up again, and then she immediately dies. Then we cut forward to 2 weeks later. Corinne is showering. We see her body double. And then there's a news report about the tragedy on the radio. So that tells us the 2 week different time. 2 weeks that it happened. So there's the time difference there. The time has passed. And then there's a knock on her door. It's the killer. And it's about to stab her. Oh, when he's chasing her through the house, we see a picture of Jesse that says, from, really it looks like an autograph.
Yeah, my wife was sitting there with that part, and I just like laughed, and she was like, "What are you laughing at?" And I was like, "Wouldn't that be weird if I just like signed a picture to you?"
To Corinne, love Jesse. And it looked like a headshot.
Yeah.
Not even a picture of them together. And then she's about to get stabbed, finds out it's a fake knife. It was Barney. He's like, "Oh, this is a great prank." No, it wasn't Barney. And then she looks like her mind breaks, and she takes scissors and stabs him off screen. The end.
Yeah. So I thought that was a very weird ending to the movie. It kind of just like it seemed like not something Barney would do. Just
No,
'cause
no, it was pretty well. It was pretty well set up that Barney liked to pull pranks.
yeah, I can see yeah, I can see pranks, but um it seemed like he was so scared of what was happening in the house that I don't know if he would
But
like
but but he
that.
said a line in there that in horror movies the killer always comes back once. At least,
Yeah. Yeah, that
so,
is.
but in truth, she became the killer when her mind cracked because, of course, because she was suffering from PTSD of everything that happened. She should not have been at home. She should have gone back to her parents' house right away and stayed until she healed. Like I mean, she even seemed too happy 2 weeks after that. I would be in emotional turmoil if I survived a massacre like there, like at that house.
So there was another aspect, and um, I'm going to think about this, but do you feel like they changed their idea for who the killer was going to be, like at
Yeah,
the end?
yes, because it made absolutely no sense that it was the wife of Mr. Burns.
Yeah, and
Let me explain.
yeah,
Because it wasn't plausible. She was with him in the car, which meant she had to have been there before to kill Jesse and the delivery boy. Then she was at home as Mr. Burns was trying to fellatiate her to no avail. And then as soon as he got called over there, the killer was there.
right,
It made no sense. Also, it made no sense because the laugh was definitely a masculine voice.
right. Okay, so that kind of opens it up even more for me. So, okay, hold on. Um, so man, I must have missed a tiny part of this movie. So Martin
In,
is the guy who's trying to sell the house. That's his son.
no, it's her son
Okay, okay,
because she talked about with Mr. Burns. This was her second marriage.
okay. So yeah, to me, when I was watching this, it felt like, obviously they were trying to say that it was like probably going to be Martin the whole time. And then there's the part where the guy who's selling the house, Mr. Burns, goes down to the basement to fix the boiler. Um, and the killer pops out and takes their mask off. And Mr. Burns is like, he's like, "It's you, Martin. What are you doing here?" So then when it's later revealed that it's, his wife, I was just like, what?
I have a feeling that Jesse was the original killer.
the the doctor who came there first.
Yes, the med student who came there first.
Okay.
I think it's plausible that he was Martin's brother,
Okay.
and he wanted to get revenge on all the people who hurt him in the past. Because to be honest, Jesse seemed like a nothing character in this film.
Hmm.
We didn't get to know him. He was out pretty quickly, and I'm thinking they thought, or Jesse was Martin and he survived.
Mm.
Because Martin was supposed to be a kid, right? Who
Yeah.
lied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. That could make sense. So you think that the mom then killed Jesse?
I think Martin's mother killed him, and I think it was just a reshoot at the end in the basement where we saw his body. I don't think he was ever dead.
Okay.
That's my theory that he was supposed to be the killer.
Okay.
That it was a red herring that he died, but we never actually saw him. Did we see him get killed at the beginning?
Yeah, yeah, we did. He was the one who got his heart cut out. And he was the one who had the fantastical laser sword noises going into his body when
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I mean, it also could have been Barney who was the killer.
yeah, well, he wasn't there yet though.
That's true. Yeah, it just felt like if the killer was supposed to be Mrs. Burns, they did not do a good job of continuity.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, this movie all felt like it was thrown together. It was that the filmmakers needed a break.
Yeah, and I got to say like to base the whole movie, the title, well, I guess not the whole movie, but just to base this title about around this terrible, terrible laugh that the killer keeps doing, I thought was just like, you could have called this thing anything.
And the mask looked like it was the mask looked stupid.
It looked like an S&M luchador kind of.
Don't say luchador. It was just terrible. It was just terrible. Let's kind of talk about the transfer a little bit. When I first watched it, I was shocked this movie was in full screen.
Mm-hmm.
I was also shocked at how bad it looked.
Yeah, so um for people who get this, there's like a paragraph that pops up at the beginning saying that um there's the movie itself, and then the producers, after they finished filming, went in and added roughly 60 seconds of gore,
Yeah.
which it's that I think that's really what made it like a something that they could market as a horror film, because if that wasn't in there, like there was nothing. But
I think it was in the basement when she found all the bodies. That was the gore.
mm-hmm. But yeah, then at the end of it, it mentioned that you know the the gore aspects weren't from the original print. They were
Right,
just
right.
shot on video. So it was like, our apologies for, dips in film quality when those parts come in. But man, I gotta say, it all
It all looked
looked
bad.
I did not notice the dips.
Yeah, I didn't either, but no, it looked like this movie went straight to video, which I'm guessing it did. Um, I'm also guessing they're the negative. I don't know if they found this from the original negative or just from the original print, but it needed a little bit more restoration.
Yeah.
I also got to tell you what my biggest problem with this movie was, that Willie Ames didn't have the less talented brother to star with Steve Baio. You love Scott Baio and Willie Ames in Zapped and Charles in Charge. You love Steve Baio and Timmy Ames in Evil.
Yeah. I was trying to see if it had any of the budget on here or anything, but it's got almost nothing. But yeah, this I'd say this definitely is at least out of the ones that we've watched from Vinegar Syndrome, I'd say that this one probably looks the worst.
It does. How many Mrs. Burns would you give this movie?
Um, overall I thought it was pretty pretty just kind of like eh. Um, but I do always feel like there is a something kind of charming about um, when a movie that is low budget has at least something good for it. There's low budget stuff that's just god awful, and there's low budget that's kind of, has charming aspects to it. And I thought that this was kind of that. Um, but there was just so much that took away from the rest of the film, and I was pissed that this is the second week in a row where I had to hear some stupid laugh. Um, so I'm gonna go with two.
I am also going to go with two Mrs. Burns. Um, for I think a 93-minute movie, it was well paced.
Mm-hmm.
It needed a couple more rewrites, and I'm just guessing that Steve Baio and the director was like, we got it. Let's get some money and put it together.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you that I haven't seen many of Ashlyn Gear's adult films, but they had better plot structure than this.
Yeah, there was one part, another thing where it's just like a big plot hole. There's a part at the end when Barney crawls out from wherever he was hiding to shoot the killer, and he says something like, so the killer locked him down there, obviously knew where he was, and Barney, after he shot her, said, I just figured that she wouldn't kill me if she thought I was already dead. And it's like, what sense does that make? She put you down there. She knows if she killed you or not.
Well, it just proves a lot of this movie did not make any
Yeah.
sense. It's like let's get a song that makes no sense to be with this movie. This movie could use a little bit more evil laughing. Um, I'm actually surprised that Steve Baio did not try to get his brother to be in it, even for a cameo.
Yeah, it's almost as if even he knew better.
Did you watch the 75-minute documentary?
No, I started it up, but I didn't get far into it now.
He gloms onto his brother's career quite a bit in it.
Does he?
Yeah. It's too bad they couldn't get interviews with like Ashlyn Gear or some of the other actors in it,
Hmm.
but it was still pretty informational. Like, I'm glad I own it, but out of all the films Vinegar Syndrome released in 2022, it was not my favorite.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of I don't know, maybe like a funny one to put on when you've got people over just to see something like, I don't know, bad-ish but entertaining.
But
The knife through the butthole was a pretty good kill.
way to go, Mark. No, it was through the schmeckle and the butthole.
Came out the back.
I think one of the greatest lines was when Tina was taking his underpants off. It's like, ooh, it's like a birthday present.
Yeah.
um, One thing I forgot what I was saying. I'll probably remember it after we record. But no, it was a fun movie. Oh yeah, is Barney? Did you think Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, saw this movie and based Jamie Kennedy's character on Barney?
Yeah, he had to have. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of horror movies, so maybe this has been done in another one, but it seemed very similar.
Yeah, it did, but Barney. I think Barney was the most fleshed out character in the movie,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
also the stupidest for doing what he did at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's Yeah, he is the most fleshed out, but it's not saying a whole lot. But
No, not
I
at
look
all.
up this director at all. Where does he make like good movies or any of them out? Or any
No,
of these good?
he is dead.
Okay.
He the movies I've seen a few of the movies he directed. They're not that good.
Okay.
They are not that good at all.
Yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to see. Oh yeah, I'm looking at him now. Okay. My life as a troll.
Which, if it was made today, would have been about someone on the internet writing nasty comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Not great, but this kind of begs the question where, you know, I applaud Vinegar Syndrome for what they do for kind of preserving these films, giving them a second life, kind of breathing a second chance into him with a better transfer, some behind the scenes research to get some special features on here. And it's, I don't know, it kind of just seems like this one, I don't know. I kind of want to say they didn't put a ton of effort into it, but I mean, it's a pretty long documentary attached to it. So I don't know.
I have a feeling there's a cult following for this movie.
Yeah, that could be.
So I'm going to recommend our movie for next week.
Okay.
Um, Hold on, I need to get it. And I just thought of it right now because I was going to choose another movie. But from the Televised Terror Volume 1 set, we should talk about the calendar the Calendar Girl Murders with Tom Skerritt and Sharon Stone and Rip Torn. Not Rip Torn, the other Rip.
There's another Rip.
There's Rip Torn and there's Rip who hosted the $1.99 beauty pageant. I can't remember his name. But I would love to talk about that one.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched any of them from that box set.
Well, and we will also have another edition of Conquering Our Collection.
I gotta find another super random one.
Now, I my next one is going to be a DVD Jess Franco movie that I've never seen before.
I've got a couple of his. Maybe I should jump in there too.
Maybe you should, yeah. Or it might be one of the Nurses movies. I haven't decided yet. I put that one back on the shelf. And it was funny. I was listening to the podcast, the Pure Cinema podcast, and they're talking about how that one is worth a lot of money now. Like, why did I open it?
Yeah, I've got one from a Shout Factory that's worth a pretty good amount, and I really want to watch it, but
which one?
It is it's called The Dirt Bike Kid.
Oh, that's from Shout. That's from Scorpion.
Okay, maybe it's something else then. Hold on. I thought that's what it was called. It's got the kid from. One second. Yeah, the Dirt Bike Kid. The one I have is from Shout, so maybe it's a really old one. But I see that it's
maybe that's
for over like 150, 200. So
I have that as well, and I haven't opened it either.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Oh, I've seen a movie before. I enjoyed it, but I haven't opened that one.
Nice. So I'm gonna have to just see if it's streaming somewhere and watch it, so I don't open it.
You got to open it at some point. You bought it for a reason.
I actually won it in a raffle for like $5.
You won it for a reason to watch it. It's actually a really good movie.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we will see Vinegar Syndrome release it this year.
That'd be cool.
I have a feeling that'll be one of the VSUs.
Okay.
So I'm going to end this on a question. In May, Vinegar Syndrome is doing 10 years, 10 films. And I'm assuming that is all going to be just movies from the non-porn library. Do you think they'll do one in May for Peakorama 10 years, 10 films?
I don't know. I wasn't around when they did the first kind of batch of them. So I don't know. I feel like I read something that said they were doing just 10, and it was 10 brand new movies that Vinegar Syndrome hasn't released yet.
That's stupid.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was either Brad or Justin that said that.
Well, Brad's a traitor.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing good things over TerraVision now. I didn't know that part of that deal was him leaving and going there.
Maybe we will get him on the show at some point. I'm trying to work on some other special guests that I might interview on my own if possible, because it might not meet from where they are in the world. It might not meet the time frame of everybody, but okay. we will. As I have more, we will announce it. But thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to send us fan mail, especially me. And we'll be back next week as we talk about the Calendar Girl Murders.
There better not be any evil laugh in it.
I don't think there is. And 2 more of our Conquering Our Collection. We'll let Brian know about that. See you all next time, and thank you for watching.
See you guys.